Hello everybody, good evening and welcome back to GPVWC Super League. It is round 14 of the 2016 season and we are live from the Suzuka International Racing Course in Mie, Japan. I'm Josh Randerson. As ever, I'll be taking you through the action tonight. On cameras is Mr. Argo Teder making his bow as a GPVWC cameraman tonight, and alongside me, as ever, is the one, the only, the Polish Irishman, Mr. Kasper Kolodziejczyk.
Well, hello everyone.
So, Kasper, Suzuka, we've already seen some good racing here in Formula Challenge and Super Cup, not the easiest circuit on the calendar. Combine that with the fact that there is some very, very light rain.
Yes, there was a very slight rain, and we have seen that this is a difficult track, but we have seen some absolutely fantastic racing, so even if there is slight rain, I think this is only going to enhance the absolutely amazing show that we're about to encounter right here.
Yep, indeed. It's all set to be quite the show indeed here at Suzuka, and obviously 53 laps worth of Super League action coming right at you. It's no surprise with the rain that a lot of the people have gone out already on track to do their laps, and I think Eros Mashuli is going to be one of the first to get his lap underway. If we can just go to watch him on the cameras, that would be lovely as he comes round the final turn to start his lap of the circuit. Now, it's going to be crucial for Eros, isn't it, Kasper, that he gets good timing straight away, because this rain could get worse.
I mean, it's whenever it's raining, getting the time early in when the track is still the driest is always the right thing to do. And considering there's some rubber there, if the rain does start pouring down, that rubber is going to just wash away. So the only real option for Eros is to go out early and do a lap as quick as he can.
Yeah, that is going to be the main option. I think we're actually on board with Eros at the moment as we go round through here. Now, Eclipse into the Degner curve, and, well, it's a very nice looking car, that Vodbull. We've seen a lot of it through this season in the front of the field as he now rounds the hairpin and gives it a good bit of luck and exits the corner. Crucial you get a good exit out of there, otherwise you will not fare well for the rest of the high-speed acceleration section as we come through here into Spoon Corner, and then it's a long run down to the infamous 130R, and, well, it's not a corner where easy overtakes happen, but it's a corner that can be crucial to a qualifying lap time as Eros into it, gear he goes, and, well, here he comes now. Let's see how he handles it. Flat out, but what else you would expect? So these cars are almost flat out at least, and then brakes for the Casio Triangle. Plenty of move we've seen here in other series, but obviously it's qualifying at the moment, so it's all about getting the maximum lap as Eros now comes around, crosses the line. Be the first person to settle a lap time. It's a 1:35.448, and he will be the benchmark for the other cars and the other drivers. Bart DeVos has gone second, almost a whole second behind Mashuli. Then Ben Horrell has gone 2.5 seconds slower. Emmanuel Gagzalo, there's been a crash actually coming out of the last turn. There has been an incident of a major capacity, and I have no idea who that is. I think that was one of the that was Michael Francesconi involved, and he now has no rear wing, so he's had to come back into the pits. What actually happened between them two? Yeah, Francesconi got involved in an incident, and then things happened. He lost his rear wing. That is absurd. That does not usually happen, but nonetheless, you know, that is unfortunate, man, because you have to get that repaired and go back out again. Luckily, with it being qualifying, though, he can just escape out of the car and get straight back out again because he has gone to the pit lane.
Of course, and of course you do have to come back to pit lane because in GPVWC we do have to come back to pit lane to come out again. If you escape from outside of the pit lane, you will essentially retire from doing any more laps in the qualifying session. So it's a bit more realism in that sense.
Yep, obviously you have to come out to the pits to repair any damage, which is obviously realism as well. Development side of Super League gets, I'm sure if Mr. Mike Pittman is around, we'll be able to have our customary Super League technical chat with him. Of course, the owner of Vodbull Racing, so knows a lot about the ins and outs of these Super League cars, and it is always a pleasure to have him with us as the timer ticks down to just about 10 minutes. And the rain does not appear to be going anywhere.
Yes, and with the time that Eros has set, which is nearly a second quicker than Bart DeVos is currently second, I mean, I don't think he's going to be challenged by the end of this session unless it suddenly stops raining.
Yeah, indeed. That is going to be the only thing that really puts a threat onto his time if it gets worse and worse, the rain. And, well, if that does happen, you can see we will probably expect a mass exodus of cars trying to get a qualifying lap in. I know I'm usually wanting to leave qualifying until the last possible moment, but only when it's super pole. Otherwise, you know, I do try and get out there. And I've got the live timing up on my screen on the right hand side of the screen. If you'd like to access the live timing for yourself, we have the fantastic HUD which Mr. Argo Teder has put up for. Obviously, you can see the top 15 and whoever's been selected. You can see all their data and an overview, a scrolling overview of the top, all of the drivers going right to left on the top of the screen. But if you'd like access to the live timing yourself, it is available from raceview.nl. Obviously, I think there is a link to that on the GPVWC forums, actually. You can't paste links in the YouTube chat, but it's raceview.nl for GPVWC, and you can see that there. And I can see that Dawe Tapper is going personal best sector 1, personal best sector 2, and has then actually glitched outside of the track. So that has ruined his lap. And how has he done that? What's happened is he's gone round and he's hit something and gone sky high into the air and over the barrier. That is absurd.
Oh, that is a very weird accident. I'm just saying it. And he has hit the divider between the pit entry and the track, and he just went over the tires, and now I think that's over for qualifying for him. He just can't get out.
That Nijo looks like it's sandwiched outside of the track. That might be his qualifying over, unless he manages to pull something amazing out of the bag and actually escape from the situation he's put himself in. We'll keep an eye on him, as I think everybody is now pulling into the pits. A lot of people are to refuel, get the cars refreshed. Bart DeVos is going to set a lap time, but I don't think it's going to be an improvement. It isn't. Or at least he is on his out lap, and he will be starting a timed lap, so...
I'm seeing that all of the drivers are now failing to improve their under lap times, or at least failing to have any significant effect. So I presume the track has just gone just a little bit damp, and it is stifling any kind of fast lap time running. So although there are still drivers that are yet to do their laps, which one of them is actually still David Feidock, which is kind of surprising how high he is in current standings.
Yeah, David Feidock, of course, the 2014 Superleague Drivers' Champion, and he'll be hoping to make 2016 his second Drivers' title, but he's had a lot of competition this year to do that, and, you know, it has not been easy for David, but nonetheless, it was easy. Where would the fun be?
Of course, and of course this is the top of the career ladder, so you'd only expect the top of the drivers to fight here, and the creme de la crop, as you would say. Of course, that would also mean that the guys on top will be very much challenged all the time throughout the season.
Well, yeah, it kind of works like that as well, doesn't it? If you're at the top, you're going to have a hard time. If you're at the bottom, you're going to have a hard time. Superleague is not easy. It is serious business. And, well, Bart DeVos is the second out. So if he wants to do anything with that pole position time with Elvis Mashuli, he's got to put the hammer down. But when it's raining like this, it's not easy as he actually pulls in. So I think it was more of an installation lap than anything for DeVos. So not going to improve.
Oh, this is why Feidock is not coming out. Of course, he has a back of the grid penalty. So
yes. There are people who have back of the grid penalties, yes. I'll just... Do you want to go through those, Casper, or...?
I may, and I'm going to try and see whoever I can catch who's on the server currently. David Feidock, Daniel Brewer, I think is on. Yes. Daniel Benefield. Fran Lopez, I think, is also here. Yes, he's currently third. So the third driver in qualifying currently is actually getting it back of the grid.
And that, of course, means...
Oh, so is Dawe Tapper, by the way. So even with that problem with him being stuck outside the track, it doesn't really change much.
Well, I think he wanted to get ahead of everyone else who had the back of the grid anyway. So Dawe would most certainly be just going out and trying to beat the likes of Fran Lopez and Daniel Benefield and Daniel Brewer. So, you know, Brewer has not gone out. Benefield has not gone out. Probably because they think there's no point. Jordan Weeks actually has back of the grid as well. He's here and he has the back of the grid to serve. So he's not the only one.
Yeah, so most of the drivers that haven't set a time yet, except for, I think, Florian Geyer, are the drivers...
Yeah, I don't know whether we've, well, Casper is still here, hopefully, but, maybe his mic just cut out, but, hopefully he is still with us. He was thinking he's just alluding to the drivers that have back of the grid penalties. This event is there's 4.5 minutes left to go in qualifying, and no one really seems to be improving on Eros Mashuli's time, and Eros himself has now actually gone out. And yeah, we have lost Mr. Casper Kolodziejczyk, unfortunately. We're hoping to get him back with us as soon as possible, but I should be able to keep you informed as to what's going on for now, at least. And, well, I tell you this, best last sector from Jason Muscat and personal best from Tobias Olsen. So, you know, it's not all said and done yet, perhaps, although Eros has got at least a second over everybody at the moment. Almost at least a second, I should say. He's got 0.945 of a second. I'm just trying to see if anyone's improving on the times. Nobody is setting personal best first sectors at the moment. So the rain is obviously slowing people down a lot, and it looks like this is all Eros's for the taking. And it wouldn't be the first pole position that Adonis Engineering have had this season, of course. They've had quite a few, and, you know, it would be another great pole position for Adonis if they could indeed get it in the bag. And it doesn't really look like anyone's going to be able to stop them at present. It would actually be, and I'm counting through here, it would be Mashuli's 4th pole position of the season, and it would be the 6th, I believe, for Adonis. So, quite a dominant force this season. They've been up there in pole several times, and they've had quite a few race wins too, so not a team that has exactly come out of nowhere. They did well in 2015 as well, which I believe was the debut season. So, their meteoric rise up the career ladder from Formula Challenge in 2013 to Super Cup in 2014 to Super League in 2015 and potential champions in 2016. That's how well they have shot up the career ladder, and they look set to continue that rise in 2016. Almost an absolute certainty at this point, but nothing is certain in Super League. That much is certain. The certainty is that nothing is certain. See? Although you'd have to be pretty short of sight to see that they are one of the favourites for the championship. 2 minutes to go in this qualifying session then, and I'm just going to look through and see if anyone is improving again. It's a case of the rain. I think it's just too heavy. You can actually see part of a dry line starting to disappear in some places of the track, and the rubber combined with that. It's just making it impossible for anyone to improve, really, and we still haven't got Mr. Casper Kolodziejczyk back, unfortunately, but yeah, we will have him back with us soon. Of course, in warm-up, which will be happening soon, we should be able to grab hold of Mr. Mike Pittman, and we'll have him around to talk with us the technical side of Super League, and maybe we can talk with him about the topical rain stuff. I say topical rain stuff. What I actually mean is the fact that it has rained and the technical requirements necessary to go against that, of course, but it's not easy driving in the rain, of course. It's quite a difficult thing to do, but, you know, it adds spice to the races. You know, not like I'm saying Super League doesn't have spice, because it does. It's an interesting series. It's one of the most interesting series I've ever commentated on. But, you know, when it rains, it's just that extra challenge that, you know, appears and presents itself. And all of a sudden, when that does happen, you can have sometimes even more tense racing than you usually get. Would be said, of course, that, you know, it can cause problems for some drivers who aren't as good in the rain, and, well, that is a problem for some drivers as the time is just elapsing from the session now. It hasn't been the most interesting qualifying session, it must be said, but with the rain not really going away quickly enough for anyone to improve on the times, it was a case of who gets out first and sets the best lap time first probably does get pole position, And in this instance, it would be Eros Mashuli as time just ticks down to 0. If anyone does improve on the lap times, I'll be sure to keep you in the loop as well. Florian Gaia has improved his lap time to 1:39.5, but that still puts him all the way down in 13th place. So a bit out of place, you can argue. I mean, he has looked very strong this season, but the rain may have played havoc with his qualifying a bit. Hopefully, he'll have a better race because we do like to see Flo high up in the standings, and he did take his first Super League win not long ago as well. I can't see anyone else currently improving on the times, though. Everyone else is doing either grey or white sectors, which is not improving at all, unfortunately. So it is looking like it'll be Mashuli who will be getting on pole position, and it will be a 6th pole position this season for Adonis Engineering. So, or a 7th, I think. It's either the 6th or 7th. I alluded to it earlier, but you know, they will be happy that that pole position will be theirs. Again, I don't really see... It has been one of those sessions where it's just you have to get out and get the lap done. But nonetheless, it has, you know, been how it's been. And Eros Mashuli, therefore, is got pole position for Adonis Engineering. As Florian Guy made a mistake on his lap, I don't think he can possibly improve enough to overtake Eros. Eros has now crossed the line, and Florian Guy pulls it in pit. So it is Eros's pole position for Adonis Engineering. And, well, will be wanting to make the most of that in his qualifying to race progression. We are still waiting on Mr. Casper College to come back. I think his connection actually dropped, so it may just have been a catastrophic internet failure for Casper. Unfortunately, these sort of things do happen. Wasn't very convenient, I must admit, but, you know, I can't really blame him. It does happen to you sometimes, and I've had it happen to me before, and it's been quite frustrating. As well, look through the rest of the field. Obviously, we've got Fran Lopez, who's got back of the race. So Emmanuel Gagzella will go into P3. Mendogas Cumbers into P4. Michael Francesconi P5. Adrian McNaughton P6. Jordan Weeks and Daniel Benefield and David Feidick all had back of the grid, so they didn't take part in the session. Tobias Olsen will go to the back as well. He actually got stuck outside the track, and, well, ultimately did not get the chance to rejoin it. Ultimately, didn't improve on that 140.9 as we move into the warm-up session of this race evening, and should have Mr. Mike Pittman with us sooner rather than later. It gets quite difficult sometimes when I don't have a co-commentator beside. It's like just I run out of things to talk about because Casper's just so good at just talking and stuff. He's a good co-commentator. It's very nice company as well, I think. You know, so, you know, when this sort of thing happens, you can really get to miss your co-commentator. Nonetheless, though, I shall soldier on as I have to do, because that's what I do, I guess. Mike isn't actually in the TeamSpeak, unfortunately, yet, so I don't think that it'll be just yet that we get him, but I've just let him know that, you know, I do actually want to have a word with him, so, you know, we should have him on the broadcast. Of course, Suzuka has had lots of good races in the past, and hopefully this one we're about to bear witness to is not going to be any different. Oh, unfortunately, I don't think we are going to get Mike Pittman. He's got other things to do. I didn't quite realise that, unfortunately, so we won't be having him today then, unfortunately. But hopefully he'll be with us in 2 weeks' time when, you know, we come to the next race. But It all seems to be going a bit wrong for me now. We've lost Casper. We don't have Mike. It's just me in here and Argo. It all seems to be going a bit disastrously wrong. Well, I just have to keep going, you know. At least I'm like I'm the only constant here. Well, this is certainly an interesting way to spend the broadcast. The warm-up, at least. Well, it's at this time that I would obviously talk about the Super League technical points, but we can't do that because my pitman isn't here. And it's also this point where I'd talk to Casper about something, but he isn't here either. So I hope we do get him back. His connection just dropped all of a sudden. So you know, it's just really me at the moment. So I guess I could run you through some of the some stuff. Thought about 7 minutes before the race start, I can take you through the current driver standings as they do stand. Presently, it is David Feidig for Nordstern Racing who leads the championship on 197 points, but only 2 points behind is Eros Mashuli on 195 points. He only needs to outscore Feidig by 2 points this race, and he will retake the Leaders Drivers Championship. He has, though, stiff competition in Philip Pushka in the standings. He is currently 186 points, just 9 behind Mashuli and 11 behind Feidig, although I can't see Philip in this lot of drivers here. I don't think he's doing this race, so the gap will increase. And that is going to be problematic for Vodbull in the terms of the team's championship standings. I see Mendogas Columbus there, but I don't see the, Jordan Weeks is there. He's filling in. So that is why it is Jordan Weeks instead of Philip Pushka. And Philip's not going to be here, unfortunately, but 4th place nonetheless is Michael Francesconi. He's a way back, 45 points behind David Feidig. He is on 152 points. And it's Florian Gaia, P5 on 135. Emmanuel Gagzella, 133 points, P6. Mendogas Columbus is P7 on 118 points. Lewis Redshaw, 8th with 114. Bart DeVos, 9th on 60. And Rudy Van Buren, who's not actually in the series anymore, is on 59 points in 10th place. Now, with 5 rounds to go, including this one, it is actually mathematically impossible for anyone outside the top 8 to win the title. So, Redshaw, Columbus, Gagzella, Gaia, Francesconi, Pushka, Mashuli, Feidig, the only 8 still in mathematical contention of winning the Drivers' Championship. In the Teams' Championship, it is Adonis Engineering on 347 points, ahead of Nordstern Racing by 15 points is Nordstern on 332, Vodball Racing on 314, Storm Racing on 176, Woods Racing on 5th, on 135 points. Kernar Sports 6th on 135 also, but by virtue of Woods' 2 second places, they take 5th place in the standings. Wilderness Automotive are 7th on 87. Midnight Motorsport having withdrawn, series are 8th on 84. Time Motorsports also having withdrawn on 9th on 66. And Green Stripes Racing round out the top 10 on 49 points. As for, well, just to run you through again, the people who are back at the grid drops, it is Fran Lopez, Daniel Benefield, Daniel Brewer, David Feidig, and Jordan Weeks out of the people that are here today. And those 5 drivers obviously will be getting put to the back of the grid, and that will not help them out, but they can only make do with what they have, ultimately. That is all they can do. Of course, please do get involved in the YouTube chat, of course. Feel free to keep yourselves active on that because, well, it's always good to see your comments and see how people react to certain things on track and follow the race as it goes. It looks like the rain has actually got worse in this warm-up session. as we go around, there is actually now visible spray coming from the back of the cars. So it could be that we do get the good old case of the wet and intermediate tyres going on. As we do, see those sometimes in Super League when it rains, of course, but nonetheless, looking forward to seeing if we do have to get them out, because the rain does not appear to be going anywhere. I would say that, well, obviously, if it does rain, it means that the drivers don't have to use both dry compounds if the race is at any point declared wet. That means they can only use one of the compounds if they want. Of course, it is the medium and hard compound tyres being brought to this race. So you'd imagine a lot of drivers are on their hard or in the medium compounds, having foreseen the rain and maybe thinking this is going to stick around. Some people might be on the hards, but it's going to be a case of doing things. Exciting. About 2 minutes to go then until we actually start the race, and looking like a good race despite the broadcast related problems we've run into. It is still looking to be a decent event, as Florian Geyer has actually gone out on the intermediate tyres. He is testing the waters here and seeing if it's worth him running them at any point in the race. I'm sure the race will be declared wet at this point, so they can probably even start on the intermediates. Geyer, of course, did take a win in Super League not long ago, so it will be a case of, can I use the rain to my advantage and get another one? Even a podium would be good, but knowing Florian, he'll want the best result possible. As will all the drivers, to be honest. They'll all want to do as well as they can out here today, and, when does someone not want to do well? I've been asked who's my favourite for the win in the comments by Sven de Vries. Hello, Sven. If I'm going to be honest, I would probably not put it past, I've actually lost track of who was where in the qualifying order now. I know I must be surely got pole, but with the rain, it could really shake things up a bit. But Eros, he can hold on to that, if he can hold on to his pace in the rain, then, he could do quite well. But you know what? As my favourite for the win, I'm going to be a bit outlandish and say Bart de Vos, because he's looked good in this rain. He got, I think, second place in qualifying. He's quite high up the order. I think he could pull off a surprise victory here for KNR Sports. They've had a better season this year in 2016, and hopefully they'll be able to continue that run towards victory once again. I should add, I'm going to check the wiki to see if they actually have taken a win this season, KNR Sport, and they actually have not. The highest is a third, so they have not yet taken a win this season. There is a chance that they could take one, but you never know. They might not. Time will tell, as time has expired in the warm-up session, so we'll be moving to race very, very shortly. And from there on in, we should be able to see what's going on. I've just been messaged by Argo saying something about a top speed difference. I think that might be on the broadcast. Yep, you can see the differences in overall top speed between the drivers as well. So, you'll see who's going how quickly, but Florian Geyer has got a massive differential over Bart de Vos in terms of top speed. So, nonetheless, apparently, if you start on dry, use your qualifying compound. If you don't use wet or intermediate, the two compound rule still applies. So obviously drivers, if they choose to start on the intermediate tyres, can. If they use the intermediate tyres, they don't have to use both dry compounds of tyres, as I alluded to earlier, as I think we are the last couple of drivers just finishing off and getting ready as we prepare to go to the race. And remembering that the live weather takes about 30 seconds to kick in at the start of the session, of course. So obviously the drivers will need to be careful about that, because all of a sudden the rain will kick in and they might find themselves in a rainy scenario from a dry track. So it'll be adapting all over again. Couple of drivers making the final couple of tweaks now at this point, and it will be a case of who can make the best advantage of the rainy conditions to take victory in Japan. Obviously, care needs to be taken while people are on the intermediate tyres, so just being advised the drivers to take care in the opening couple of laps. As we do now go to the race. And our Factor 2 man, as we now call him, decides to decide himself in such a way that he will give his now familiar call, and it will be a case of waiting for people to grid up now as we are ready to race here in Japan. Last couple of drivers making their way onto the grid. And we will start the formation lap here at the Suzuka circuit. Then it is Eros Mashuli taking pole position here in Japan. And then it's going to be, it wasn't actually Bart DeVos. Bart DeVos is gone. Well, I may have put the commentator's curse on him there because he's left the race from about P2, and that is unfortunate. If he does rejoin, he will have to start from the pit lane. So now it's Eros Mashuli on pole from Emmanuel Gagzella for Storm Racing in P2, who has started on the dry compound of tyre as opposed to the wet compound of Mashuli. And it's been Dorgus Columbus in third place on the wets, then Michael Francesconi in P4 for Donis Engineering, then it's Adrian Norton in P5, then Ben Horrell P6 for Green Stripes Racing, Roy Shorten on the mediums in P7 for Woods Racing, Niels Brugman on the intermediates for Wouters Automotive, and I've had help offered to me. And this is a nice little surprise. I'll go through the grid. I'll explain to you what that help is in a moment. Menno Clant in P9, and well, Menno Clant in P9 for Woods Racing. Then it's Niranjan Kumar in P10 for Hawkeye. Then it's Florian Gaia 11th for Nordstrom Racing. Jason Muscat 12th for Wouters Automotive. Ben Willis is 13th for Green Stripes Racing on the medium compound, as is Tobias Olsen in 14th for Hawkeye Racing. I'm just going to drag somebody into the broadcast room chat now. 15th place is Devidas Masiulis for Nijo Racing. 16th is Fran Lopez for Red Archer VRT. Dawe Tapper 17th on the intermediate compound tyre for Nijo Racing. Then it's Dan Brewer 18th for Kernau Sports. Jordan Weeks 19th, the first at the back of the gridders for actually, I think that's Daniel Brewer and Dawe Tapper and Lopez are the first at the back of the gridders. So it's Lopez, Tapper, Brewer. Weeks is 19th. Daniel Benefield 20th for Red Archer. David Feidick 21st, rounding out the grid. And I am delighted to welcome to the broadcast booth none other than Big Horse himself, Mr. Will Ponissi.
Hello, Joshua. How you doing?
I'm all right, thanks. I've had more help of it as well. From everyone wants to help us all of a sudden as all the cars line up onto the grid, and it's all going to kick off here in Japan. And well, Bart DeVos pending an open session. He will be able to start from the pit lane after all, as David Feidick just rounds the final corner to join the race and grid up, so to speak. as we now wait for the lights to, well, we'll wait for Frank to pull in and the lights to light up, so to speak, as we are ready to go racing here at a very wet Suzuka. We have 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and for the 14th time of asking this season, we are off and away. And it looks like a decent enough start for Gaxella and Mashuli, Michael Francesconi on the outside of Jordan, August Columbus. Coming into turn 1 here. McNaughton gets a good start. Horrell forced to the outside, and Jordan breezes through into the left complex section here as Mashuli leads the pack still. Further down the back, a couple of cars have gone off. Daniel Benefield, one of the affected as we went into turn 1. He seemed to go a bit wide, and Florian Gaia had a spin as well. He is all the way down in position 20 now, and Eros Mashuli is P1 still leading things as we come into the Degner section. Francesconi, Columbus, McNaughton behind. Roy Shorten under threat from Niels Brugman and Ben Horrell and Benno Klont, who's had a good start in that Woods car as well. Dr. Boston is having a little bit of problems getting back into the server, so to speak, as Jason Muscat, Niranjan Kumar, Ben Willis and Kumar having a good little battle behind. Kumar in 11th for Hawkeye. That is a great start from the Indian driver, and he'll be hoping to get some good solid points for the now Dutch-owned team run by Wupke Hoekstra. And Ben Willis is having a bit of a time trying to get past Kumar here. He is not having it easy, so to speak, but he's giving it a go nonetheless. But if we go back to the front, Eros Mashuli running 130R. A couple of cars are actually Shorten, Horrell, Brugman. This little train here could get interesting very, very, very quickly, as it does seem to be an interesting first lap, to say the least, as it is Eros Mashuli who comes out to start lap 2 ahead of Gaxella, Francesconi, Columbus, McNaughton, Shorten, Brugman, Horrell, Klont and Muscat are your top 10. It does seem a very wet Suzuka, to be fair, so it could all still spice up. Still, nothing is going to go until it goes. And, well, look for any interesting battles on the track at the moment. Apart from the Shorten-Brugman battle as Horrell has dropped off, I can't really see any at the moment, unfortunately. That is the thing about rain. It is the great equaliser, and it does tend to do things that makes things a bit more interesting. Not like it's not interesting to begin with, but Ben Horrell has caught back up to Brugman and Shorten, and he has given it all he can give to try and get a couple of positions on the board here in that green stripes. Roy Shorten doing a brilliant job of defending from them. I can see that Michael Francesconi is starting to close on Emmanuel Gaxella, though. That much is happening, and Ben Willis has had a bit of a spin at the back. And Francesconi off! Francesconi has gone off the track here, spun, and he's rejoined the circuit, luckily managing to avoid everyone now. How did that happen? He went, Michael, the back snapped coming out of, the back of the car snapped coming up the spoon, coming through turn 12. That is a very rare place to lose the back end. And he has dropped to 10th place now. Fran Lopez giving him some food for thought, and, Spaniard versus the Italian going into 130R. This could get interesting as Lopez outbreaks Francesconi, takes the position, and that was a well-done move from Fran Lopez to move into P10. Michael Francesconi must be kicking himself. And I tell you who'll be smiling away like mad, Mindaugas Columbus, because he's benefited from that by getting himself into the top 3. As I don't think Bart DeVos can actually rejoin, unfortunately. He is having connection problems, and he has not even got to take the start of this race. So from P2, that is incredibly unfortunate for him.
That is such a shame for Bart, and obviously it's also depriving us of what promised to be a great battle. I mean, your prediction of Bart going for the win, it was plausible. He was showing great form here, and unfortunately we never get to see what he was capable of, especially in these very, very tricky conditions. We see a lot of drivers, in a sense, tiptoeing around, still trying to find their feet. And we see some excellent mistakes already by some of the front runners. So I think we got a race on our hands.
Yeah, a couple of drivers have made mistakes already. It is not easy to tackle these conditions,
User
so
joined your channel.
it's most certainly a case of trying to see how he can go. As we're joined now by Mr. Mike Phillis.
Hello.
So, hello, Mike. Great to have you with us, and well, the more the merrier, because I can use all the help I can get today. But nonetheless, yeah, decent race so far. A very interesting one with a couple of mistakes, as we alluded to. Eros Mashuli still leading proceedings, though, as we come round into the Casio Triangle once more.
Yeah,
So obviously,
the weather plays a great part here, though, doesn't it? Always.
yeah, weather plays a good part. Obviously, you're in the service; you can see everything that's going on, Mike.
I know.
If I do need to pop off for any reason, you can obviously cover for us, just in case there is a hunger-related emergency.
No problem. Good evening, Will.
Good evening, Mike.
Well, it's certainly a different broadcast here today, but nonetheless, we are still going. But, you know, that's the thing, variety's the spice of life. Sometimes a different broadcast team can bring all the variety to a broadcast that sometimes you don't get. But obviously having a fixed broadcast team is better because then you know what's going on with each individual person. But enough about the broadcast team and more about the racing, as I've just seen. Fran Lopez has set a purple sector 2 and Mindaugas Columbus a purple sector 3. And now Eros Mashuli set a purple sector 1. So times are falling here at Suzuka.
Must be getting drier and drier. That dry line's starting to show by the looks of it.
Yep, things just starting to dry up, maybe.
Curtains off at first Dagna.
Or people are starting to get used to the... oh, we got someone off at the first Dagna. Yeah, people just starting to get used to things, at least. So, you know, once you settle into these conditions, it can be easier to tackle them, as now it's Fran Lopez setting the purple sector 1. So you never know who's gonna get the fastest sectors at this rate, because it's always changing.
True, that's true. As the race progresses, obviously, it's just gonna get quicker and quicker. Hopefully that the rain will start to slow down a bit, and battles will ensue.
Yeah, battles will ensue indeed, and you know. That's the thing, when you get battles, it all becomes a little bit more interesting to commentate on, doesn't it? Because then you actually have something to talk about, but it all seems to be a little bit too spread out for battles at the moment. Now, when I mentioned food-related emergencies, Mike, that was kind of a prompt, because now there is a food-related emergency, and I will be back very soon to re-commentate on the action, but over to you.
What's that, your baked beans on toast already, I think?
Oh, considerably better than that, mate.
Scrambled egg.
Maybe.
Okay.
In the meanwhile, Mike, if I can take your attention to Adrian McNaughton, such a performance so far, up in fourth. He's a talented driver, but we haven't seen him up here that often in the Superleague this year. So it's interesting to see once the rain comes and he's mixing with the best.
Yeah, the rain always mixes things up, doesn't it? You know, you see Adrian, you know, you dotted around. You know, the most that I've seen him is maybe 10th, 11th, but mixing up in fourth now with the guys that have run in the top 3, you know, it's crazy. It's just a little bit of water. I think it's the same in real life. Everyone just decides to go nuts when there's a little bit of water on the road, doesn't they?
Absolutely, absolutely. And, you know, looking at what's happening now on the track, I think it's working fantastically well for Eros. Not just in today's race perspective, but also in a championship perspective. If you look obviously to his nearest rivals, we've got David Fidok, who's down in 13th. We've got his teammate Michael Francesconi down in 10th, and Mindaugas Columbus a good 5 seconds off down the road. So it's working really well for the Italian so far.
Yeah, he seems to have a measure of the weather and the track at the moment. Like you say, it's just come down to just under 4 seconds at the moment. Whether Gexela's pushing, I have no idea. Or maybe the Shuli's decided, you know, I've got enough of a gap now, let's just control it.
Well, I think obviously you've got to take into account the fact that Eros is fighting for a championship. Surely he will try to maximize his points, especially when his direct rivals are struggling on the day. But he sort of has to make sure he gets to the end and takes whatever points he can get. Whereas you got Emmanuel, he's obviously having a great season, first season in the Super League, but for him, it's more about the race. It's more about maximizing tonight's result without having to worry about losing points to rivals on the way. So I think as the race progresses, this could be a very, very interesting race. And now I'm being told that we've lost Mike, so it appears that with Josh having some food emergency, it will be me for the time being, which does not help. Obviously, 5 laps into this Japanese Grand Prix, 6 laps on the way from Eros Mashuli, followed by Emanuel Gazella and Storm in second, Minagas Columbus for Vodbo in third. These are the top 3, followed by McNaughton, Schroten, Lopez, Brugman, Horrell, and Francesconi and Clont to round out the top 10. Now, looking out at the track, there's a dry line distinctly forming. So obviously this will have a distinct effect on the racing. Already, a lot of the drivers pushing and feeling visibly more confident when driving. So hopefully there'll be some battles, really interesting battles to talk about very soon. And that's Mindaugas Columbus passing Gazella for second place. So we got the Lithuanian Columbus on Vodbull passing the Storm of Emanuel Gazella. Gap now from Columbus and Mashuli is now 7 seconds. Obviously, the battling enabled Mashuli to, increase his gap just a bit. 6 laps only in the race, obviously, on a total of 53, so plenty to go in this Japanese Grand Prix. And still already, Mindaugas was able to create a bit of a gap over Gazella. But hang on. Is that well, it appeared that Mindaugas has some disconnection connection issues, but he still appears in my timing sheet, so fingers crossed. We haven't lost another of the great protagonists of this race so far. We've got on our screens a battle between Lopez and Schroten. It's a battle for 5th place. Roy Schroten as well, having a very, very solid race up to 5th in his woods. Perhaps not as strong a season as Schroten would have wanted before the season. His best result, if I'm correct, is 2 10th places actually in the last 2 races. So he's on the upswing. First part of the season, only a 14th place to call for points, but then points in the last 3 races for the young Dutchman. So definitely he's found his sweet spot with the mod, with the setup, and hopefully better things to come for Schroten. We've also seen Menno Clont in the sister woods having a bit of an issue on turn 1, going wide, losing it slightly on the grass, on the AstroTurf rather, and slipping a few positions down. Interesting to see David Feirock, championship contender, started obviously from the back of the grid owing to a qualifying penalty from the last race, and is up to P8 at the moment, just closing the gap to Michael Francesconi. Only 2.7 seconds between the two, so very, very good comeback job for David so far. And it seems we have Mike back. Mike, you with us?
Yeah, I do apologise there. For some reason, my computer decided to restart itself. But I am back. I'm all good. And I'm back.
This is what happened to computers in Wales. They just restart.
It's just the Welsh. We have issues like that.
Anyway, Mike, you missed some interesting moments of the race. You got Minagas Columbus now up to P2 after passing Emmanuel Gazella and building already like a gap on his rival, already 4 seconds between P2 and P3. Still, the gap between Mindaugas and Eros Mashuli up front has not really changed much since the Lithuanian was able to get into P2. So still stable at 7.5 seconds. Adrian McNaughton still in 4th, and Fran Lopez is now past Roy Schroten for P5. So Lopez up to P5.
Yeah, it looks like Lopez is slowly gaining on Adrian as well, by the looks of it, whether he's finally got into his rhythm. I'm just looking around now. You know, this is quite spread out at the moment. The nearest battle, I think, is for 8th and 9th. And 10th and 11th. And then after that, I tell a lie, 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th. They are really close.
It's actually all bunched together, and there's plenty of fighting all around the field.
Apart from the front 4, maybe.
Indeed, that seems to be the case. That seems to be the case. And we've got a new fastest lap as well by Fran Lopez. Once he's past Roy Schroten, he was able to really push on the pedal and set the fastest lap. So he went purple, and he's starting to also improve on his time. Also because the dry line is still raining, but there's a drier line, if you want, on the track.
Yeah, you can see the wet's absolutely tearing up the water, which makes this dry line.
Dry line indeed, and I've suddenly made my entrance back into the broadcast booth there. I hope I wasn't dry. Yeah, I hope I wasn't interrupting anything, but yeah, it does look like the wetness on the track is still there, if anything. So, you know, intermediates might be getting used a bit more than people would like. Daniel Brewer is out of the race, and it looks like he's had a pretty hefty crash. He has lost his rear wing. Yeah, that was a big shunt for Brewer. Let's see exactly what happened. I'm going to go back on the replay. He just lost. That is a weird place to lose it. What's happened is he's had a massive shunt after losing it out of the Dunlop curve, and that is his race over. So a potential result for Brewer is off the cards now because he's out of the race.
Yeah, his rear end just snapped on him.
Yeah, it just
loss of traction. Shows that the wetness is still there.
Yeah, it just shows that it's so easy to lose it, even though it looks, you know, like it isn't raining too hard. The wetness on the track is still there, and as a result of that, if you're not careful, you might go off.
Either side of that dry line.
Yep. It is looking pretty, either outside of that dry line, it is a danger zone, because you stray too far from there, you'll find yourself with problems. And someone who's finding himself with problems right now is Michael Francesconi.
I was just about to say that as well.
Yeah, David Feidig is right on his tail. This is the battle for P7 between the Nordstrom and Adonis teams, and Francesconi gets a bit squiggly there. So all of a sudden it's even more of a problem, because now he's got the pressure of that, added on to the pressure of the fact that he's got a former Super League champion right behind him.
Yeah, coming up to the hairpin now. There's this great opportunity for overtaking into this corner.
It hasn't materialised for Feidig though. I think he's probably going to look for a run into the Casio Triangle, because aside from going into Spoon on 130Rs, Feidig himself gets a bit out of shape there. There's not really too many overtaking opportunities on this track at best, especially when you consider that factor in the rain which we are now. I mean, there's a couple. You've got a couple of good overtaking opportunities for certain, but there's not like there's one every corner.
No, I think he's a bit too far back for 130R. Maybe if he can carry the pace through into the Casio triangle, maybe?
It's his best shot, you'd think, at the moment, as he rounds 130R, and I think he's still too far back to even trying to the Casio, to be honest with you. And, yeah, that is not going to happen for... Well, I say it's not going to happen for Vidic. It is going to happen for Vidic, as Francesconi spins out of the way and concedes the position, albeit unwillingly, as he now does come into the pits. And, well, I think he must have had enough of those intermediates or something like that. I think he wants off them, or at least that set. So in he comes to the pits now, hits the brakes, gets put on the jacks, and he is staying on the intermediates, albeit a new set. So that has not benefited Francesconi that much. That's been combined with the pit stop. He will now drop behind, might even drop behind Jason Muscat as well. The Maltese is having a go into the first turn, and yep, he does drop behind Muscat. On the cusp of the points now, Francesconi. And that is not good for the Italian, and not good for Adonis either. Yes, Iros Machuni's out there leading affairs, but they're not going to get the points they wanted at this rate.
Not by the looks of it. Only one at the top and one propping up. Bit of a hard pill to chew, isn't it?
It's not an easy thing to see a team making mistakes and some dropping positions, but sometimes it happens in racing. We are only human, as the saying goes. And, well, Iros Machuni would potentially put pay to that statement. He's almost unstoppable out there. He's 8.5 seconds ahead of Columbus and does not look to be relenting.
I think Francesconi's just had a bit of a issue going into the second Degner.
Has he? I'm going to go look back on the replay and...
yeah.
Yes! What's happened there is he's caught the curb, his car's gone wide, he's held it, but gone wide as a result. That will ruin his tyres.
Just missed Muscat as well.
Yeah, so Francesconi caught the curb a bit too much there. That can happen if he catches the curbs in wet conditions. Can upset the car.
Willis sitting far behind him, mind.
It can upset the car as you know, sometimes it doesn't quite work out catching the curbs. You have to be careful, otherwise getting an all score so badly wrong. Erasmus surely has had no problems with the Degner there as he's just rounded it. Fran Lopez, now what has happened there? Because Fran Lopez wasn't second the last time I checked. It's Mindaugas Columbus, I think he's pitted. That's what happened. Yeah, he has just come out of the pits, Columbus, so he's decided to switch onto a new set of intermediates. As we have also lost Tobias Olsen from this race. That is, I think, a straight disconnect for Olsen, and he should be able to jump back in and resume, because you are allowed to do that in R Factor 2, of course. Must be said, shout out to Fran Lopez for being in P2. That Red Archer, I think they have stopped development on it now, or at least they plan to. And it's not the most developed car in the grid for certain. But he is doing a good job in it.
He's holding his own in second at the moment. Net third.
Yeah, I mean, he is yet to pit, of course, I think. So that might be why net third. But Gagzelov behind, McNaughton behind. Storm 3-4 at the moment as well. So for a team that's very, very new to Super League, they're doing quite well.
That they are.
And apparently there's no pits by the top 10, according to Argo Teder's heads-up display. But maybe it's, he says maybe it's mistaken. Nonetheless, I'm sure we'll be able to... Oh, we've got a round! We've got Florian Geyer who's gone round there. Down in P11, I was just looking down that way. For potential fight on between him and Ben Horrell. And, well, Geyer has gone off the track and he's come back on again. So, Geyer has had an off. He's actually on the medium compound tyres. Well, that explains it. I don't know how he's managing to keep the car... he must be sticking to that dry line like glue as he comes around the final turn to keep the dries going on here.
Well, you got to try it, I suppose. I know it's a bit early to throw caution to the wind, but still. Looking, I don't know, could be cleared up by the looks of the skies. Some of the camera angles are showing a bit of blue. Yeah, some blue in the sky. Maybe it'll clear up, but even then, these cars have got to disperse all the water that's on the track. And that is easier said than done. Depending on the humidity. Yeah, I mean, that depends on the humidity. Depends what tyres they're using. If people are just using... the pit. Oh yeah, we do. We have a Menno Clons in the pit. But yeah, if drivers are using the
intermediate compound tyre, then they'll only clear a little bit of water at a time. If they're using the slicks, they'll practically not clear any at all.
That is completely true.
And yeah, you need someone to clear the water out, otherwise it's not going to clear. It's not going to clear by itself. At least you need someone to do the work. As for a battle going on track at the moment.
Francesconi's got past Muscat.
He has, Michael Francesconi,
And
making a move.
And he's right on Brugman at the moment.
He has, so potential opposition for Brugman-Francesconi battle. Francesconi looking for 12th, of course, as he now goes around the outside of Spoon, which becomes the inside. And that was a good move from Francesconi, but he's gone too wide. Too deep, too wide, and Brugman just takes it straight back again. Says to Francesconi, if you want to get past me, you're going to have to do a better job than that, mate.
He's got to be careful there, because you've got Muscat closing in on him as well. Fidek's in the pit, as we talked.
Yep, David Fidek in the pit. Speaking of better jobs, Florian Guy has now got a job defending from Ben Horrell. Now, that Green Stripes is not as fast as the Nordsgen. Horrell has done a good race so far on those mediums, and he's not far behind Gaia, so there's a potential chance, but Gaia looks to be pulling away back at a rate of knots in the moment, which you consider that Nordsgen car is extremely well upgraded, and Florian Gaia is a race winner in Super League this season!
Oh, he goes round!
Well, he would consider that he'd be ahead, but he's just spun and let Ben Horrell through. And now he's got David Fidek coming through, his own teammate, and I don't think he really resisted that. But Fidek through now on a potential one on Horrell. But that is unfortunate for Guy, and that's twice now I've said someone needs to catch up with him spun.
I think that's the commentator's curse, don't you?
In full effect today, definitely. I best just stop mentioning everyone.
I think.
I think
We
it's
got
best
Ben
if we just...
Willison.
Yeah, from 17th place, a bit further down the order, but still racing nonetheless. And looking for potential battles again. The closest I think we've got is this whole 10, 11, 12 train between Fidek, Gaia and Francesconi. To be honest with you.
Seems to be the closest.
Seems to be the closest thing we have to a battle at the moment. Between these three.
With Muscat just falling off them, but anything could happen and he could be right there.
Yep, and yep, that is, you know, soon as Jason Muscat, he's in that position, isn't he? Where if anything happens to anyone ahead of him, he's just right there to jump at it like a shark, isn't he?
Exactly. I think 4th and 5th ain't far behind either. Sorry.
Yeah, that would be Roy Shorten in P4 for Woods Racing.
I know.
This would easily be his best result of the season.
Without a doubt, that.
I mean, they've had a good season this season, Woods. They haven't had the best of recent seasons, but they've really made a resurgence in 2016 with Lewis Redshaw, getting a lot of good positions. But Roy Shorten has been more the quiet one in the back, hasn't he? He's been getting the points. He's been doing all right. He's been now. And now he's actually standing up and saying, you know what, I want to go to this top 5 business as well.
I think the summer breaks just rejuvenated everyone, and everyone just wants to fight for positions now.
Yeah, that's what a summer break can do. It can rejuvenate people, bring people into it. Well, speaking of bringing people into it, there's a fight developing because Mindaugas Columbus is not far behind Shorten.
Exactly.
Mindy then, as some people call him, in that very, very powerful Vodbull, chasing down Roy Shorten in the woods. And I'll tell you this, that Woods car, admittedly, yes, it's the 5th worst on the grid, but it's got a good pilot in Roy Shorten. And Mindaugas Columbus in the overall best car on the field, the Vodbull, in terms of development points. Overall, though, we've seen overall points don't always mean much, because some cars can still be better in other areas than others. So it's a weird thing, development, as Fran Lopez has now taken the lead, because Eros Mashuli has pitted from said lead. He is not changing compound, surprisingly. If the intermediates work, don't stray from them. Lopez has he doesn't have the net lead. He has effective lead, though, as I think Lopez is still to change tyres again.
Yeah, Shorten's just coming to the pits as well.
Roy Shorten has just come in, so Columbus does go through. Daniel Benefield is set to, therefore, if he doesn't pit, which he's not going to, looking to at least try to make it a Red Archer 1-5 at the moment. I think he's going to. He's going to pass Shorten, his Benefield. And yep, he has done. So effective 1-5 for Red Archer.
They'll be in it to win it.
Yeah, I tell you what, give them a bit of rain and everything they can shine, can't they? Because, well, speaking of shine, the sun is starting to shine in that Sector 1. Very blue skies through Sector 1. If there is any rain, it'll probably be localised through 2 and 3, as we have a Ben Horrell in the pits as well. But yeah, Lopez has got to make as much of a gap as he can to Gagzella now because he's got to make a pit stop in all this.
Yeah, with only 10 seconds, you know, it's not enough to get to pit in and get out in front. He needs to push, whether he's going to do another lap. See what happens at the end of the time in being now.
I'll tell you this as well, someone else who's really outperforming that car potentially. Devinus Misiulis, P6 for Nijo. Now, they have not had the best of seasons. They are in the 3rd worst overall car in Nijo Racing. And, well, a 6th place would be like, it might almost feel like a win to them, to be honest. I mean, that's not trying to put them down or anything, but it has not really been their season, has it been, for Nijo Racing this 2016 season.
And
as
Gagzella takes the lead now, sorry.
Yep, Gagzella takes the lead because Lopez has pitted, and now cars will fly past him.
He goes off turn 1.
Oh dear, well that's not good for Manuel Gagzella. It's let Eros Mashuli in right with a chance. But yeah, Nijo Racing have not had a great season this season. I'm trying to get standings up as well. It currently goes going into this race, but yeah, that is a mistake from Gagzella that will potentially come back to haunt him because Mashuli is catching up now.
And with the clear skies that open in T1, it's just going to get faster and faster and faster. So he just needs to hold his nerve now and go for the next pit stop now.
Yeah, indeed, just has to hold his nerve, just has to try and keep it going for a little bit longer. As well, the rain can do that. It can make him make mistakes, but you just got to keep going and plough through those mistakes. As sure that, well, Devinus Misiulis, make no mistake, will be happy with his P6. Nijo Racing currently 2nd from last in the team standings, so a 6th place here, that will gain them 10 points, 10 vital points, because it will really help close the gap to Red Archer. Obviously, we've already lost Tobias Olsen from the, Tobias Olsen isn't even a Nijo driver. Darwin Tapper is, though, so it'll be 11 points. So they will go on 43 after this and really start to close the gap. And, well, for a team that far down and not very far from the rivals, it's crucial to get all the points they can get. In fact, for some teams, it's more crucial than others because we do have the relegation system for Super League as well. Green Stripes Racing set to be the team considered at this race, being the lowest on overall points. Woods, though, because of their not very good last few seasons, the lots of points they've got this season only put them 2nd from last. So they would really have to, well, obviously, some of the worst seasons will get taken out of consideration going forwards, and that'll help bump them up the order. But not looking good for Green Stripes at the moment, even though they have got cars in decent places at the moment.
It's going to be tough, but it's going to be tight, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Mashudi's taking the lead again. Eros Mashudi goes into the lead past Emmanuel Gagzella. Missed that almost, but did miss it because I saw it happen. Eros Mashudi, therefore, race leader once again. Lopez not far behind, 5 seconds off, which isn't too far. Enough to react to a mistake, but Mendogas Columbus wants to go at him.
Yeah, Gagzella went slightly wide in the S's.
He is struggling a bit, isn't he, the Romanian? He's had a couple of incidents and mistakes so far this race, and that might have been another one.
Whether Eros is pulling away or Gagzella is not as quick as him, but it seems to be a gap opening up.
A little bit of a gap, indeed, and
I think it's the wrong choice of tyres.
Yeah, I don't think Gagzella is quite on the right tyres on those mediums. I think now is the time for intermediates.
Lopez is creeping up on him as well.
Yeah, and Lopez is on mediums, so maybe may not be the right choice for Gagzella, but it's certainly the right choice for Lopez. It's if he can stick to that dry line like nothing else and do not deviate, then you will be rewarded. But if you stray off it, then you might be better off with intermediates. As Gagzella's in, so Lopez will take 2nd.
They must have heard us talking.
Yeah, that's what it is. As yeah, I'm not central priority speaker, so they can't hear me, but nonetheless, they must have heard somehow. Daniel Benefield probably won't take P4 out of this, but he'll close in definitely. And it is a 2-5 at the moment for Red Archer as well.
He's close, he's just come out of Casio Triangle, coming down the main straight. It's going to be really, really tight. He's going to be just behind him.
Yeah, just behind. As I said, he's not quite going to catch, but he's going to close in. But if he can get a good run through these first couple of corners, he might close in even more, might the Australian. He has shown his stuff, Daniel Benefield, this season. He's proven he's a capable driver. And a 2.5 for Red Archer will pretty much skyrocket him ahead of everyone else, all of the nearest rivals.
We can't discount Roy Sheraton either. He's not far behind him.
Yeah, Sheraton's not far behind, but as it stands,
as well.
if it was a 2.5 for Red Archer, that's 31 points. That will move them from... That should move them right into the realm of Wouters Automotive, or near them at least. So the jump Green Stripes, the jump Torrent, that almost jumped Midnight, who have withdrawn from the series. And it really starts to close in as we have lost William Ponissi, unfortunately. I think he's left. So, yep. Oh, no, he's back. May just have been a slight problem, but...
User joined your channel.
Yep, he is back. We do have William Ponissi back with us once again, and it's good that we do. And just keep an eye on affairs. It is worth keeping an eye on this, obviously, short and Benefield's trade.
Yeah, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Looking at the closest battle, saying that 12 and 13.
Yeah, there's only about a second or 2 seconds between Geyer and Brookman in 12 and 13. Speaking of Wouters Automotive, there we are. We are now talking about Wouters Automotive. But 11th and 13th isn't going to help the potential fight against Red Archer, because they are set to take a massive points haul and potentially get close to leapfrogging Wouters.
Well, exactly. They need to... something needs to happen for them if they want to hold their position in the table.
Yeah, and for the team that now develops the potential engine supply following Midnight Motorsports withdrawal, this is not a good situation to be in, because less points. We know they lose the license at the end of the season because we will be bringing in a new engine supplier, but it's not looking... They really need more points than this for being an engine supplier, you would think.
Certainly would. Still depending on the points that come through from the vehicles that are having their powertrain, like.
Yep, and to tell you some of the vehicles that are using the potential powertrain, I think the highest up using potential power, well, you can't even see one in the top 3. It's Valiant powering cars 1, 2, 3 on the field. And then I do believe you have to go all the way back. Nope, it's not even there. It's quite a while before you get one. It's not looking good, is it? Because I'm still looking.
11th, isn't it? They're in.
You have to go all the way back to 11th to find the effective works potential team leading the charge for them. So
Haul is not a great haul of points.
That is not a great haul of points, and well, it's not going to help them in the long run, wow, it does, because they've now tried developing an engine. They're going to have it taken off them at the end of the season. They might full well get it back if they apply for the new tender and are successful. But, you know, as, you know, leaders of the potential supply, it's not looking fantastic for them. I mean, to go through, looking at who the engine manufacturers are for, you know, the current top racers in this race, the top 5 are all Valiant powered, and you have to go back to 6 before you find a different one in Trinity.
Well, it just shows the work and development that that's been done by Vodball to get that engine to where it is now.
Yep, brought in as an engine supplier in 2014, and I don't think they've wasted a single second getting themselves right up to the front of it, have they? Because they've really made their mark as one of the best engine suppliers this season.
It's just like Mercedes in real life, isn't it? You know, they've done what they needed to do, they've got there, and they're just holding firm at the moment.
Yep, and of course, aside from potential, they're the only team to power multiple teams this season, both Trinity and Martex engines, exclusive to the work teams of Woods and Nordgen respectively. But in the case of Nordgen, that's actually really benefited them because, you know, they haven't had to, yes, they haven't had anyone else helping them with the engines, but they're focused on themselves and really reap the rewards.
Well, they haven't had to rely on people to get results, have they? They've gone out and they've done what they needed to do. They've gone out, got the results, it's paid dividends for them.
Yeah, and with Woods doing that as well, it opens up the potential as a viable strategy. Obviously, more research is better, but you know, it's gone to show you can do it on your own if you have to. As I think Daniel Benefield's just lost a position to Roy Schrodt because Heidick and Schrodt were right together before. Now there's a Benefield in the middle of them.
There certainly is, isn't there? I think he's struggling on them tyres he's on. He's squirming around coming out of spoon.
Dry tyres not the best thing to be on in wet conditions, of course, but some people think it can work.
No, and I think it started to grey over again.
Yeah, and that is not good for those dry runners because all of a sudden they find themselves in really, really not helping circumstances.
That's an extra pit stop they're going to have to take. Like.
That's going to put them even further down the order in return.
Well,
So,
right.
all of a sudden, it seems to have gone from okay to not so okay for the dry runners, but I'm sure they will make the most of what they can make the most of. It's all about making the most of things sometimes.
It is, but it is really slow. Especially like turn 1. We know turn 1 is a fast entry, but he hasn't got the grip. You can see it.
David Feidick is right behind him now.
He's literally, that's coming into the hairpin. Even before, by looks right now, he's really on his gearbox.
Yep. It's not really an easy time for Daniel Benefield. David Feidick, of course, looking to move his way back up the order after that back of the grid. He did have a back of the grid penalty. He's 7th. That is a very impressive climb from David Feidick, former Super League champion, and he's proving why.
We got a back marker. Maybe Benefield will we'll get a bit of help from this back marker, but into the hairpin. He's done it.
Oh yes. Well, through goes David Feidick, and indeed,
it shows the intermediates are on that better tyre at the moment.
Yeah. It does show that perhaps they are. We have lost to Ben Horrell from this race because of suspension problems.
He was going so well. Let's have a look. See what happened to him.
Yep, you can do that. I'll keep an eye on the action that's going on the track as Columbus is in. Mindaugas Columbus is in the pits. This will give Emmanuel Gagzella a chance at 3rd, potentially, for the time being.
I think he lost it coming out of Spoo.
Well, such an easy place to lose it as well because difficult corner.
Going into Spoon, he lost it.
Oh, going into Spoon. Well, that is interesting. Actually lost it on entry at the Spoon. Now, obviously, if you clip the curve too much, you don't get the entry right. That can happen. But it's just so weird to see it happen.
The car was literally undrivable. He thought he could make it back to the pits, but it was crabbing.
I've got a nice little battle on shaping up here. Mindaugas Columbus versus Roy Schroten. He's just pitted Columbus, and now he's under threat from the Dutchman. Schroten, of course, having this fantastic race. He is on the dries, as is Columbus. So equal footing in terms of tyres. Not necessarily equal footing in terms of cars. That one's, of course, not as developed as the Vod Bull. And, well, Valiant does beat Trinity, I think, in the horsepower stakes. But, nonetheless, it should be an interesting fight if Columbus doesn't get up to speed quick enough.
Oh, no. Roy's travelled around with his tyres for a bit now, and he's got them how he wants them. Saying that, he's just going to offer Degner too. I think I'm going to be quiet now. I've got commentator's curse.
Don't be. You have to speak sometime. But yeah, it's not, it happens sometimes, I guess. Benefield has pitted. He's decided enough is enough. He's gone on to the intermediate tyres. Maybe he's just thought, this isn't working for us. I'm going to change strategy. And, well, on to the int as he goes. Next.
User was moved out of your channel. User joined your channel.
I don't know why it was just moved out there, but...
In and out.
Apparently it's just a mistake by Argo. Never mind. Just accidentally moved us out. That's fine. Things like that happen. Worse has happened at sea. So, nothing to worry about. As
The pit stops have kind of opened everything up recently. Apart from, obviously, we've still got the Columbus Schroten. There's just about 3 seconds between them.
Would you like to know a fun fact?
Go on then. I'm sure you can surprise me, Joshua.
I've just been told by Mr. Argo Teder, the man with all the information on the heads-up display, Fran Lopez is catching Eros Masciuli.
Wow.
Somehow, I'm being told that he is. So if he is, this could be a race.
Well, he is putting times in a second faster than Eros at the moment.
Yeah, I've been told he is down a pit stop, but it could be strategy. It could be that he's just not pitted yet. But if he's a second faster than Eros, why pit?
Exactly. We got last Eros was doing a 1:45.0, and Fran Lopez did a 1:44.1.
He is catching at a rate of knots here, and all of a sudden you'd think we have a fight on for the lead of this race.
You actually see him in the same shot, just coming out of Casio Triangle.
Wow. Who would have thought at the start of this race would have a Red Archer versus a Adonis Engineering car? It may full well be that we have that battle. 2.8 seconds is the gap between Lopez and Mashuli now. He's down a pit stop, but if he's got the pace, he shouldn't have to pit just yet.
Well, no, if it's not broken, don't fix it. You know, unless something drastic happens, his tyres just fall off, then I'm sure he's going to be pushing and pushing and pushing. I mean, he was, by the looks of it, 0.4 seconds quicker in the last lap. So he's going to be closing that gap down.
Yeah, he's going to be closing that gap. He'll be closing and closing, and he'll be keep trying. And Eros will be thinking, what's happened? Why am I not quicker? Fran Lopez is on the dry tyres, for goodness sake.
I know. He's just like that big orange carrot in front of him. He's just chasing him down.
You can see him. He's within arm's length. He
And then
really
they
is
got-
not far away. I'd estimate, just by eye here, I don't have the sector caps to hand, but I'd estimate there's now a second between them.
The moment.
Well, we're about to
wait for the
find out, I
time.
think.
We'll wait for the timing screen to refresh now.
I think we are about to find out the sector caps. Or at least not yet, but
Two
it definitely
seconds.
looks like less than a second.
Almost at sector end of sector 2 now, so we're going to
We'll find out
refresh
for
in a
sure.
second now.
Find out exactly what the sector gap
Probably
is.
about 1.1, I reckon.
Well, Mike Phillis thinks 1.1. We're about to find out it's 0.7.
Oh wow!
That, if it was a dry race, then Fran Lopez would be in DRS range, and he's closing in even more.
I don't know what
Well-
he's done to these dry tyres, but he's making them work for him, where other people are struggling.
I have to say, it is a bit like Bizarro World at the moment. We've got a Red Archer catching an Adonis.
I know.
And it could be closing in to pass the Adonis as well, because with the pace of Lopez, he is doing miracles with that Red Archer, and, well, how is he even doing it? That, on those dry tyres, which Daniel Benefield proved to not be as good, how is he doing this?
I don't know.
He must be sticking to that dry line like it is his best friend.
Velcro. That's all I can say.
Well,
rolling
hows and-
Velcro.
The hows and whys of it are yet to be determined. Gets a bit squiggly, but he's not really bothered by it. The
That's it.
hows and whys are not necessarily known, but the fact is he is starting to really put the pressure on, though he did drop 3/10 there.
Doing what he's been asked to do. He's pushing, and he is pushing. He might have dropped.
Yeah, he might have.
0.1, but
Just a little bit.
this is where we saw him make up all of his time now in the last 2 sectors.
Yeah, in these
You see
last
him
2
going-
sectors.
Into Spood, a bit more confident, under braking.
Indeed, and he's really starting now. Well, another slight wiggle from Lopez, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't mean much, does it? Because,
No. It's like that wiggle, though, kind of sets him up for the push.
yeah, I mean, the gap at the moment, I'd say, is about half a second
It
by
is
eye.
0.7 now.
Yeah, 0.758 as we come into the Casio Triangle.
And wow.
Now I'd
he's
say
on
it's
it.
about... He's right, close again. I don't think he's close enough to actually...
The turn one, it depends what Eros does, whether he makes a mistake or not.
Well,
But
we'll
he's in his
see.
slip. He's in his slip, so going to show something.
Ah, right. I'm being told by Mr. Teder there is a top speed difference that we should be aware of. And do you know
Oh.
what that top speed difference is?
How much?
20 kilometers an hour to Fran.
Wow. But he's just made a mistake going to turn 1, so all of that hard work has completely been undone.
Well, that's what happens. That's the risk of dry tyres, I guess.
And he was half a second behind him crossing the line. So
Yep,
But,
that's kind of...
Niels
That can
Brugman
hurt
just DNF'd
sometimes.
as well.
And oh yeah, we have Niels Brugman who's just gone. That I think is a disconnect. He should be able to get back into the car and get going again if there is. Oh well, he's lost his front wing, so maybe not. But it's not good for Niels Brugman. He is potentially out of the race, and that's going to put Dowie Tapper in the points.
It certainly is. But
And albeit
he's just
1
lost
point,
it,
it's a
turn
point.
1.
It's 1 point, even though it's limited points. It's every point counts in a situation like this.
Certainly does.
And,
They will build up.
Being told about P3 and P4 by Argo. Yep, Mindaugas Columbus and Emmanuel Gaxella are at it again.
They are
And
close.
I think Gaxella's since gone through, and that's why Columbus is P4. But Mindy, nonetheless, trying to catch back up and get moved on again.
I'm pretty sure that 90% of these cars are playing chicken into Degner 1. They're running wide just as they go through it, and it looks so wet and slippery that I can just see someone spinning up there.
Well, it's a case of how far can you push it before you lose the traction. On the edge of cohesion, these cars, you could say, you know, there is really not much in it between going off and staying on the track, and it's for some to the driver, and it's a miracle they're even doing it. But nonetheless, it shows just how skilled they are in these cars to keep it on the drives. Columbus now looks to the inside. He's not going to try it at 130R. He's probably going to have done before he can get into 130R. Gaxella forced to concede. Oh, we got a bit of a disconnect on. Benefield's out, Gaxella out, Mashuli out. This is a mass disconnect. This has got to be a red flag.
It's got to be a red flag. Mashuli's out. Gaxella.
Yeah. Well, we're only halfway through the race as well. That was an interesting one because I have no idea why that. Like, we've had server problems before, but not this early into the race. We've lost Mashuli, we've lost Gaxella, Benefield, Mazulis, all in one. 4 cars out. And, yep, red flag, says Chris Williamson. That is the race over. And the race results will be taken, I assume, from, if we are stopping the race full stop, they will be taken from the lap before the flag. That will be lap 28, which should give Eros Mashuli the win, Fran Lopez second, and it should give Emmanuel Gaxella P3. Wow, this is an interesting scenario, to say the least. Doesn't always happen, but when it does, it's always dramatic. As well, we've now lost Clont as well.
Everyone just seems to be going.
Yep. It all seems to have... everyone's going to have to pull into the pits now. And, well, it is a shame when it happens, but sometimes it does happen. We haven't had one in a while, actually, I don't think. At least I think we have had one this season, just not in a while in Super League. So the cause of that will need to be investigated, of course. But you know, I guess in the end, some things can't be helped. Well, that is a sudden end to proceedings.
Well, that was short but sweet, I suppose.
Yeah,
the
but
best
it was
way
like
to finish.
I tell you what. We could have called this a modern vintage series race because it was half race distance.
Exactly.
Because vintage series races are about half, or were at least half of
half points given out now.
Yeah. Actually, I think do you have to complete half or 75% for full points to be awarded? I think
75%. I think it was.
I think we award full points regardless of a red flag.
Really?
I think we've always awarded full points when this has happened. I can't remember when we last actually awarded half points. I think we do. I think we do award full points in the case of a red flag. So, as it stands...
Mr. Ponissi might be able to clear that up for us.
He might be able to, yes.
Mr. Ponissi is checking the rule book right now.
There we are. The person who writes the rule book is just checking it.
You see, that's the thing. Red flags cause so much confusion. Even the admins have to check the rule book.
The regulation under 18.6 if a race is suspended and cannot be resumed, no points will be awarded if the leaders completed less than 2 laps. So if no competitor takes part, which is not the case, full points will be awarded if the leaders completed more than 2 laps.
Full points. Wow.
So
very, very kind.
If a session is red flagged, the final results will calculate user standings at the end of the 2 laps preceding the red flag. So yeah, I think we have this situation.
Yeah, so lap 26.
A lap before the disconnections. So, well, Chris Williams just said a lap before the discos, so it should be 27 or 26 of the 2. But Florian Guy won't be happy about that. Roy Shorten would be very happy about that. Juan Lopez will be devastated because he was about to win, he says. Wow.
So there's a lot of talk going on in the server as we speak.
Yep. I tell you this. It doesn't always go the driver's way, but you can't really predict when you're going to have a disconnect like that, can you? So it's only natural. Some people will be annoyed, but sometimes it's just the way that it goes.
It is, as all the fun and joys of racing, I suppose. Put everything in, and then sometimes flip up a coin, something can go bad.
I have to say, it is one of the few things you don't get in real life disconnections.
No, I know. Could you imagine if that was true? Reboot.
Well, a bit of a sudden reboot. Wow, that is yeah. It would be mental.
I know. Can you imagine? It'd be crazy. Yep, just gonna reboot the car. I know they do that now sometimes, but crazy. But yeah, I don't really know where to go from now. I was getting quite interested, and then all of a sudden that massive disconnect. At times.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Well, I've almost immediately lost what I was going to say because, well, it's at this point I'd still be commentating on the race, but I'm not commentating on the race because the race stopped.
It just stops your train of thought, doesn't it? You know, you're there, you're in the zone, and all of a sudden the flag is like, oh my gosh, we just need to fill in now, don't we?
It's a very anticlimactic end of the race, but it's one of the worst things that can possibly happen in sim racing. Is something like this. Obviously, we never get to find how the various strategies would have, gone on, and who would have won the race. I mean, we had some beautiful battles on our hands, but unfortunately, that's the hand we were dealt, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, yes, some things just happen, as we've said, and this is one of them. And there will be a bit of backlash potentially from some drivers, like, "Oh, I could have done this if there hadn't been a red flag." But
Woulda, coulda.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Sometimes it's a case of not worrying about what could have been, just worry about what is.
Exactly. If you're gonna do it,
I think that used to be on my helmet, a saying of some sort. That I used to have a helmet with that saying on. I think it was the French for "There's no point worrying about what is or what could have been. All that matters is what is now." And truly, that is the case here, because what is now is that Eros Machuli has won from Fran Lopez, from probably Emmanuel Gaxella.
By the sounds of it.
At least I think that's how it's gone.
It's something we need to pick up with the server suppliers, because we were assured that these problems were a thing of the past. So obviously we need to look at the relevant data. We need to look at what happened exactly tonight and why it happened, and we need to look at ensuring that this does not happen again.
No, like I say, it kind of, you understand that it's disheartening to the drivers. They're putting lap after lap after lap in the practice, and then for this to happen halfway through a race, it's kind of like, where do they go? Like, it's kind of frustration, and I understand their frustration. Being a team owner, I would be absolutely livid, especially if my driver was pushing for the lead as well.
Yeah,
but as we say, it's electrical. What can we do? Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
If we hosted our own server, then, I'm sure there'd be grounds for saying, hey, this isn't good enough. We need to sort this out. But it's not even our server, is it? It's someone else's server. So
exactly.
We've got a lot of potential interviewees today, which is a bonus at least. So I'm going to start moving those into the room now.
I've never seen the room so full.
User was moved to your channel. 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 User was moved to your channel.
We have moved all the people in. I'm sure you heard one of them, Mr. David Feidick there. I think he was in a conversation with someone else. I should really warn you before I bring you in. Sorry about that. Well, we'll start with you, David, since we do have you with us.
Yep, you're right.
Well, I'm personally fine. A bit shocked about the red flag, but I'm sure everybody is, to be honest with you. But I guess one of those things that you can't always help, and unfortunately, it might have happened when some people needed it too. But still, I guess a decent result for you in the end.
Yeah, it was a bad week. Just got worse. A lot of things have happened this week. Poor decisions by poor people leading up to the race. I'm extremely disappointed, including today. And then the race, was fine. Just taking my time, picking people off. Was catching the 2 cars in front, so podium was possible, but a few little cars get dropped and we red flag. So that's the way things go, but not happy about it now.
Well, I can understand. I mean, you probably stood to gain from quite a bit there. I mean, one of them was the race leader at the time, so I guess it's understandable in that sense. It's never an easy call to make whether to call a red flag or not. And You know, I mean, some teams obviously would benefit from that than us, but ultimately it is the way it is. And while I guess it's not really going to help Nolsgen in a big sense because like, you could have ended up with more points. I guess it's just onwards and upwards and move on to the next race and see how he can try and gain something back from there.
Yeah, the fact that it was Eros, the title contender, doesn't make a difference for me anyway. He did a great job. He was leading the whole race. He was quick. He deserved the win. My main point was it was very few cars, and it was well for me it was the wrong decision. But it's the DC's decision, Chris's decision, and just take it and move on. Yeah. If it's half points, that puts me 5.5 behind Eros now. So. 4 races left. Just got to push as hard as I can, but yeah, that's all I got to say really. Thanks.
Well, indeed. Thank you for joining us, David. I know it's not sometimes easy to give interviews when things don't quite. It's sometimes a bit difficult to find the words when things don't go but nonetheless, thank you very much for joining us anyway.
No, thanks. It's not. It's obviously a disappointing result, but well done to Eros, Menno, and the podium guys. Lopez was well quick on them dries, so they deserved it. It was just personally for me, one to wipe off.
Well, we've also
understandably.
Yep, understandably. We've got your teammate here as well, Mr. Florian Gaia. Thank you for joining us as well, Flo. Obviously, David, not quite happy with the timing of the red flag. Couldn't really be helped, obviously, but again. It's one of those races where it just doesn't go your way for whatever reason. Surely how it's just going to be a case of move onwards and upwards now, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it didn't really go to plan today. I mean, after the heights of Monza, hitting pretty much rock bottom today. Yeah, I think I spun more than 20 times or something like that. I don't know if it was on broadcast or not, but I guess it's pretty hilarious. I couldn't keep the contract. Pretty poor driving. I guess I should have put it for indoors earlier or even started on them because on the dries it was, for me at least, pretty impossible to even keep it on track consistently, and that was pretty poor showing today. Yeah, went into Eros. I mean, he's done everything right. He's gone out first in quali, done the best lap, and from there on led this whole thing. So, yeah, he's done everything right, and yeah, everything else wasn't in our hands today.
User joined your channel.
Well, obviously, it's not necessarily the best race of the season for you, Florian. So, obviously, commiserations on that. And while you tried your best, though, sometimes the rain isn't easy to deal with, is it?
I don't have anything against wet races. I don't obviously like them, but I have to deal with it just like everybody else. I know we come back at Abu Dhabi in 2 weeks and try and kick ass there and take a double win. I mean,
User was moved to your channel.
quite a task, but I think we can do it. So
Your channel was edited.
we'll try.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us anyway, Florian. Obviously, not the best of races for you, but still, thank you for joining us for an interview. I'd now like to go to, if it's all right, the team manager of Adonis Engineering. It's none other than sometimes cameraman extraordinaire, Mr. Menno Clant.
Yeah, hello. Well, I'm around.
Yep, you're here. You were a racer
User
yourself.
disconnected from your channel.
Talk us to how your race went.
Yeah, it was a very difficult race.
User left
Yeah,
your channel.
I chose to get the inters, and yeah, I think at the beginning, in the first few laps, it was the right call, but after it was so difficult, and after like 10 laps, if you just not stay on the racing line and you go a little bit wide, then you spin. So I spun like 4 or 5 times, but luckily I didn't have a lot of damage. So yeah, but for the rest, it didn't went that well. I hoped on points, and I fear I just finished 16th. So yeah, we'll see what the ending results say. So.
Well,
But
the
yeah.
ending results will likely say that one of your drivers in Eros Mashuli got the race win, so you must be very happy about it as the team manager.
As a team manager, I'm
disconnected
very
from
happy,
your
of course, because we hoped for that win, and Eris looked fast, and I think he deserves it. And now we wait what will happen with the points, if we get full points, half points. I don't know what we will have, so we shall see. But it was very good, and I wanted to do a shout out to Roy Schoten, who was really fast and had the right strategy. He did really well, and both Kernos, which are on our main competitor of our Woods team, where I'm driving for, in the championship. So we gained a lot of points on them. So that's actually very good. And if I can, another shout out to Mr. Fran Lopez for being really good today.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, Benno. Been great to talk to you as always, and hopefully we'll see you very soon, maybe in a broadcast capacity. Who knows?
Yeah.
And second and last interview now, we'll be talking to none other than Mr. Daniel Benefield.
Hello.
Now, you were having a great race at some point. Obviously, Fran was running second. You were up there in the top 10 as well. Even with the red flag, this should be a very solid point haul for Red Archer. Should really help close the gap to Wanderers Automotive, which must be fantastic for you.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's almost a case of what could have been. I mean, Fran had so much pace, but he had an issue with obviously being on the slick with passing Eros, but he would have got him in the pit stops because he would have just overcut him easily. And I was running really well. I think I managed to get as high as 5th at one stage, and then I couldn't get my mediums any further, so I pitted and I used the inters as my quote-unquote my prime stint, because it was weird because the mediums were quicker than the inters, but the inters were quicker than the hard tire, so it was really weird. But yeah, had we gone to the end, it would have been interesting. I think that strategy would have worked really nicely. Probably at least a top 8. Would have been interesting to see how close I got to the top 5 though. But hey, it happens.
Yeah, well, it does happen sometimes, and well, still a decent race from Red Archer. Will really help to close the gap up to Wanderers Automotive, and must give you a bit of an inspiration and a bit of a drive to catch them for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good actually, because we've gone. Do we know what lap the red flag's taken from? Is it from lap 26 or 27? Because I was one of the first ones to disconnect. That's all. So I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it was lap 26, so the red flag was actually pulled out on 29, but it was just as 29 started, so...
Okay. Well, if it's from 26, I think we go from... Well, we had a double DNF in Monza, which was pretty disastrous, and because we actually fell back behind green stripes, I think. To a double top 10, which is pretty good, and especially with Fran getting... I know Fran definitely got second, I'm just not sure where I finished exactly. I think I finished 8th or 9th. I think it was 8th.
Yeah, well done anyway, Daniel, on your results. And great to have you with us as always again. And the final interview of the day will go to none other than race winner elect, Mr. Eros Mashuli.
Hi guys.
So a bit of a dramatic end of the race for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was not much happy when I disconnected, because I thought it was a mine problem. While I was getting angry, my teammate just said to me it was a general problem. So I am waiting the results now, but regarding the race, it was not easy at all, because the grip was really changing every moment, and was difficult with the back markers, because when you go off the line was really slidey. And I was looking also David doing a good job coming back to the pack, and I think we both had a couple of back of the grid, but every time we managed to do good races, and And yes, we are both consistent. In his case, is probably his strongest point. Consistency.
Yeah, consistency. Always a strong point in Superleague, and you know, I guess in the end, well, consistency led you to an ultimate race win. Well, to add to the list of race wins you've got this season, and I think this helps you retake the lead of the championship as well. So hopefully you'll be able to keep it to the rest of the season. That'll be the goal, surely.
Yeah. Now I should lead. I'm leading. But I am a bit sorry that Philip was not in those two races because, to win is always good, but when you have more strong rivals is really better. David is one of them, and Pushke is another. In this last race, it's also Florian is really fast, and in Monza he did a better job than me, making me do mistakes trying to pass him. And I was not happy about my race in Monza in the end. But here I did a great job.
Yep, well done to you on the win though, Eros, and again, hopefully you'll be able to think forwards. Things will be alright for you once again.
Thanks, guys.
And, well, that rounds out the interviews, but we are able to welcome back Mr. Kasper Kolajic. You've missed everything, Kasper.
I'm sorry I had a technical issue. I'm terribly sorry. In the middle of a sentence, I had a power outage, and power outage just lasted an hour and 20 minutes, so literally the entirety of the race. I am gutted.
Yeah, I'm sure that is something that you wouldn't be happy about, but there was a red flag in the end, so it ended a bit early anyway, so you are here to talk with her about, well, the takeaways, well, if you knew what they were, but nonetheless, it has been, from the one person that we have from the commentary team remaining, Mr. Mikey Phillis, it has been a good race, hasn't it?
It was quite an interesting race, to be honest, until that red flag incident. There's quite a few battles up and down, but yeah, as they were all saying, the grip level was absolutely non-existent. We could see that from when they were running the mediums. The slightest little trickle of being off the dry line, you could see they were in so much trouble.
Yeah, I mean, that is the thing. When you run the dries on the wet track, you can go off quite quickly, and that is what happened in this instance. But do you have any last words before we start the round of the broadcast?
I just gutted that I didn't go full distance, to be honest. I think, like the rest of them, it would have been up for some good battles, epic broadcasting, and yeah, some good fun. But it is what it is, I suppose.
Anything from you, Casper? I know you just come back, but
Well, I wish I could have commented on it. I really like rainy races.
Yep, indeed. And I guess at the end it is slightly sad it ended early, but you know, que sera, sera, what will be will be, and what is the fact that we have a slightly shortened race here at Suzuka, round out the career ladder week with. But it has been a race nonetheless, and there is more racing yet to come in the GPVWC. In 4 days' time, we go to Poland, the Poznan racing circuit, for the Polish Touring Cup, making its debut on the calendar. And then 3 days later, it's the Grand Prix of the Carolinas at Charlotte Motor Speedway, the oval race of the Atlantic Series. That is bound to be an interesting one. And then in about 2 weeks' time, you can join us for Yas Marina Week in Abu Dhabi, where we do Open Series, Formula Challenge, Super Cup, and Super League. But until that time, is very much time to end the broadcast. I've been Josh Ranson, and from me and everyone else, it is indeed, because we're in Japan, a very warm sayonara.
Sayonara.